Who are we? We are the ones we've been waiting for. Think this, know this, be this. This is Skull Babylon, and you're about to listen to episode 23 of Paradigm Shift Radio. For the start of this episode, we had Chris of the musical group Tesla Logik on to talk about a recent flash mob meditation event which successfully happened in Toronto, Ontario, as well as further conversation relating to spirituality and the state of the world which led up to him guiding us through our meditation. After that, we opened up the lines for anyone to call in to bring their topics to the show, at which point we had Patrick talking about the dimensional shift, followed by Myra talking about discernment and psychic defense, as well as Brianna, who added to the topic. To wrap things up, we had our good friend Elijah back on to give a bit more insight on some theoretical realities to come. Remember, believe nothing, see everything, and keep listening to Paradigm Shift Radio as things continue to unfold. Join the Facebook group, tell your friends, be a part of the co-creation, and enjoy the show.
Everything that you need exists in the present moment, and this moment is all that exists. In its brief flicker, you will find all time in the world. Through it, you will contact the living information that will guide you with infallible direction. This present moment is the stargate through which you will leave the prison of human definition and expand into an awareness of divine perception. It is a crack between the worlds, not only the worlds of the past and future, but worlds of time and space, spirit and matter, form and being. It is a limitless zone, the gateway through which you will again begin to participate in the adventure of creation. This is Skull Babylon, and you are tuned in for another Psychic Saturday of Paradigm Shift Radio on behalf of ParadigmShiftCentral.com. So welcome once again, everyone, and just give me a quick shout out in the chat to make sure that my microphone is sounding okay, and you guys can probably hear me all right. Hey, how's it going, everyone? So thanks again for tuning in, guys. And obviously within the first couple of minutes of the show, I just want to remind you again to help promote the show on your own end. So that means using Twitter, using Facebook, liking this actual link or reposting it on your own Facebook page, and just adding a little comment saying saying something along the lines of, you know, like, hey, it's Skull and the 2012 gang, like, tune in to get some consciousness shifting ideas, or you can sit at home and watch another episode of Saturday Night Live, so it's up to them. But this is some sort of progressive age stuff in the sense that this is alternative media. This is our media. This is, like, we are the new media of the future by telling the stories from our perspective. So thank you guys once again for taking part in this adventure of creation, is kind of the term that I actually used in the beginning of that little excerpt there from a book called The Starseed Transmission, which I've actually read from in the past, and there's actually another part from it that I'll read about that I'm going to share in the next couple, within the intro. It's something very interesting that I just like to use to point out. So, yeah, so guys, just let me know. Sounds great and everything. I'm just sort of got all my windows open, but it looks like everything is going all right. So, yeah, okay. Now, for those of you who tuned in, thank you. You're listening to Paradigm Shift Radio, and Paradigm Shift Radio is a show that we do every Saturday, and it's a chance for us to be able to practice sharing our ideas and expressing our thoughts and talking about some of the topics that don't usually get brought up in regular public spheres. So things like alternative perspectives on how to view this reality, in the sense that this reality is not as cut and dry as it appears to be, and there's new ideas coming up to the surface. There's old knowledge coming up to the surface, and call it mysticism, call it spirituality, call it quantum mechanics. It's us remembering what we are in terms of this reality and returning to that space of unity consciousness, in the sense that we start to see our connection as a more like palpable one, like within this reality, meaning that we can actually make change. It is the new shift. So yeah, something that we've said before in the past. This isn't, don't even, like, if you want to use the term new age, that's fine, but this is a now age. This is about capitalizing on the present moment that we are in. So thank you again, guys. And just in terms of a little bit of community news, just to bring you guys up to speed. First of all, for those of you who have never tuned in before, what Paradigm Shift Radio is a branch of ParadigmShiftCentral.com, and ParadigmShiftCentral.com is a hub for a global collective of Paradigm Shift communities all across the globe. And Paradigm Shift communities are physical communities as well as Facebook pages which encourage open-mindedness, healthy living, living in the evolution of consciousness. So if you're interested in finding a paradigm shift community in your area, go to paradigmshiftcentral.com or facebook.com/paradigmshiftcentral, or even just run a search on Facebook. Type in the words paradigm shift and then with your location followed after that, and see if something comes up. And if there isn't a paradigm shift community in your area, then we highly encourage you to consider starting one in your area, because that might be the case. That might just mean that it hasn't happened yet because you haven't started it yet. So we all have a role to play, and if yours is starting a paradigm shift community, then by all means. So that's just going to help bring people together. It's going to help build the tribe. These are kind of common phrases that we've used before, but nonetheless, it still holds weight. It's still exactly what we are doing here, and it's happening, and it's happening faster, and there's more and more paradigm shift communities every week. So with just in terms of the newest paradigm shift communities, just a quick shout out to them. The latest ones are Paradigm Shift Cambridge, Ontario, as well as Paradigm Shift Tallahasse, Florida. So congratulations to both of those communities on getting launched off the ground, and those links are going to be posted in the show note, and they are also in the live chat right now. So congratulations on those. And again, even if you're not in the area, feel free to check those out and just find out what they are about. So with other paradigm shift news going on, one thing that I'd actually like to do, and this is sort of going to segue into the next quote that I'm actually going to read from this book as I sort of open up to it. So, okay, I got my quote ready. Okay, what I would like to do, guys, in terms of paradigm shift stuff, this is kind of a new idea. In terms of utilizing the Google Hangout feature, what I would like to be able to do is for us to have semi-scheduled meetings through Paradigm Shift Central where different people from the different Paradigm Shift communities are using Google Hangout to practice having conversations. So it would kind of be similar to the radio show, but it may or may not necessarily be live, or it may not, well, it will be live, but it won't necessarily be like documented per se. So it'd be very similar to just sitting in a room with someone. Like, you don't have to worry about your words being like recorded on the internet for, there may be some that we record, there may be some that we won't. But what I would like to do from that is to be able to get a chance to meet a lot of you guys face to face in terms of over the computer, and just sort of get to know each other better and get to know who's associated with which paradigm shift communities across the world, and to be able to share ideas and ask questions to each other and let everybody know how it's going. So if you are an admin for one of the paradigm shift pages, I suggest keeping an eye open for that, because you are more than invited, and post about it on your page, and we'll just we'll see how it goes. So those, like I said, will be posted through the facebook.com/paradigm shift central Facebook page, and through that Facebook page you'll find other updates about new paradigm shift communities as they emerge. So the quote that I was going to read, and again, this is from a book called The Starseed Transmissions, which, take note, was written in about 1978, and it's kind of done through channeling. And channeling is you're sort of aligning yourself to this idea of an intelligent consciousness that sort of exists outside the body, so to speak. But that's a whole topic in itself. But evidently, this information, the source that this information is coming from, is the source of like the oneness, the awareness, or whatever. It's sort of like the universe just talking through us and talking through a vessel in this case. So the paragraph that I'd like to share with you guys kind of relates to what we need to do. So, the roles that each of you will be required to play in the days of planetary transformation are multiple and varied. In these times of preparation, you can help each other learn to play In these times of preparation, you can help each other learn to play them without judgment or attachment. This will be a large part of your training in these centers. You will learn to take responsibility for your particular function without ego identification, to share individual resources with others as part of a greater whole, and to surrender whatever behavioral patterns are no longer conducive to a harmonious flow of spirit. There will be a place for leadership within these centers, but primarily in the context of practical management. Such leadership will not constitute a spiritual hierarchy. Within the atmosphere provided by these centers, one must take complete responsibility for one's own awakening. Through living and working together, we will accelerate the process of each individual. No individual will rightly be in a position of arbitrarily dictate the way for another. True spiritual leaders will not try to hold you in subordinate patterns, but will pull you as quickly as they can to their own level and push you, if you are capable of going beyond. On the other side of the psychological process, the greatest among you, as Jesus taught, be the servants of all. It is these servants who will rightly occupy the necessary positions of practical leadership. Those who do not have the humility to accept this necessary authority in matters of day-to-day living will not be among the meek who inherit the earth. So that's just something that myself, Vaughn, and Breezy, and Risto from Paradigm Shift Estonia were having a meeting the other day, and I flipped open the book. I was like, all right, guys, I'm just going to flip open the book to a random page and read what I find. And that's what I read to them. And what that sort of says for those who are listening, that kind of reiterates this idea that the leadership that we need within the paradigm shift communities is one of service, meaning that you're leading by example, and you're not taking responsibility for anybody else's actions, but merely, lead by example, focus on your own, help bring people up to your level, help boost people, and then help propel each other even further. And so it's talking about being able to rid the ego, so forth and so on. So excuse me, guys, I'm just sort of keeping an eye on everything. But yeah, what did you guys think about in the chat? Pretty interesting stuff. I think the whole idea of sort of flipping open a book and just sort of finding whatever quote jumps out at you kind of correlates to the same way that tarot works and stuff, in the sense that within that sort of quantum state of randomness where you're either picking one page or the next, it's like the universe sort of has a chance to communicate with you halfway, so to speak. So that's something that I would always recommend. Excuse me. That's something that I would always recommend. Try doing that. If you find, even if you're just, in a bookstore and you're just looking at a book that you don't plan on buying, just try grabbing it and pull it off the shelf and sort of see what message might come to you in that sense. So, all right, guys. Well, okay, cool. So I got someone who's calling in. Sorry, I'm just sort of typing and reading things at the same time. There's a couple people who may be calling in on the show tonight. Excuse me. Let me just see, I can't I can't. Sorry, guys. Okay, so one of the things that I actually did want to mention tonight was related to an event that happened in Toronto just the other day, and that was flash mob meditation. So for those of you who are paying attention, you know that yesterday, Friday, was Black Friday, and there was crazy people going crazy, as they usually do, in terms of commercialism and knocking each other over and pushing people down, all for the latest bargain and stuff. Well, there was a group that was in Toronto that organized a flash mob meditation sort of in juxtaposition to this type of behavior. So I think a flash mob meditation is always a really, really powerful way to sort of get a message across, because the people who are just sort of there to buy their regular commercial goods are going to see that, and especially when it's in such large numbers, and it's definitely going to leave an impression with them. So kind of like the Plant a Seed projects that we've done in the past, the flash mob meditation is a really effective way. So that's something just to sort of keep in mind, and it's something that I would like to be able to replicate with the Paradigm Shift London community. Again, we've done similar meditation groups in the past, but not on such a large orchestrated scale. So what I would actually like to do, I'd actually like to bring a close, he's close to the story at heart, in the sense that he was one of the people who helped organize it, from what I understand, but he's also a musician and sings a lot about conscious shifting stuff, as well as sort of the world we live in, and observations of culture and society, and as well as spirituality. So I'm actually going to bring him on, presuming he is the one who, there's only so many people in the queue. So I'm hopefully going to be bringing him on, presuming this is the person I'm bringing on, and we're going to go from there. And I apologize because I know his real name, and I just forget it off the top of my head, but his name on Facebook is C Reality, and the name of his music group is called Tester Logik. So I'm going to bring him on the air right now, and we're just going to go from there. So,
hello.
Hey, dude, you can hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Cool, man. Yeah, I can hear you just loud.
Awesome.
Here. So for the people, tell them your name or what you would like to go by, and just obviously you're calling from Toronto, but yeah, sorry, what's your name, man?
C Reality I go by, but Christopher is also what my mother named me, so right, I go by that as well from time to time.
Right on, man. And yeah, like so. Were you one of the guys who like really helped push this forward? Like I think you created the actual event on Facebook, did you not?
Yeah, I did for sure.
Cool.
Me and a partner had done one last year in the summertime as well, and it went really good. And a few more happened while I was out of the country in the fall last year. And I thought, nothing had really happened since then. Occupy kind of took place after that, not too long after, and it was kind of a similar kind of idea of taking back public space and kind of shifting people's thoughts about everyday life. And I thought, what better time than to try and do something like that than Black Friday?
Yeah, it was. It's good though, because I mean, obviously in Canada, our Black Fridays were not as chaotic as what they were based on the stuff that we saw in America. Because I'm sure,
for sure,
had you tried to do it in front of like a Walmart in America, like you guys just would have got trampled. Like I don't
destroyed. People die on Black Friday. There's casualties.
Sounds like at all. So, but for you guys, it went well, eh? Like no troubles at all. Like what sort of feedback and what sort of reactions did you get?
I went just according to plan. It was awesome. It couldn't have gone better. Obviously, doing something like that, kind of have to worry about security and the possibilities of them getting out of control some way. But I didn't think it was going to be too big of an issue because of the nature of what we were doing. And it would look really bad in this internet age to have security beating up or hauling away people who are meditating, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But that was the biggest worry, and they didn't do anything at first. They were kind of like gruff about it. A few police officers came by. The riot squad actually was there, but they didn't do anything. They just watched, and then everybody peacefully went their different ways in the end. So it was good.
That's pretty cool. I think the next step is how do we get like the cops like in on the meditation with us?
That'd be great. I think it could do them some good for sure. It's good for everybody.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. So yeah, like now, what do you think is like really being accomplished with this sort of taking this sort of action? Like, I mean, this is almost, you could almost refer to this as like activism in a sense. Like, how do you perceive it?
For sure. For me personally, I wouldn't want to ascribe my own feelings to everybody who was there, but it definitely was mixing two of my favorite things, which is protesting and meditation, and making a statement. Inside the mall, I think it's a big thing. People just go about their daily lives. There's kind of like the dominant social paradigm that we're all in, and it's hard for people to break out of that bubble. So being able to like create something totally different can kind of, maybe jolt a few people into seeing that there might be different ways to look at the world. And, it's just like an interesting piece of collective community building as well.
Yeah, it's good. Like sort of brings a lot of people out of their houses, and people who otherwise like wouldn't be getting involved suddenly are willing to get involved because they see that there's like the numbers behind it. So I mean, yeah, I think that's good when, especially even for people who weren't able to attend, still see that, and that's something that this show really encourages. So I mean, if you're inspired by the fact that this flash mob meditation happened here in Toronto, then I encourage any of our listeners to consider organizing one in your location in some form or another. So now, do you have any like sort of tips and suggestions for people who might be thinking about doing that?
Get the word out there. I think that's the most important thing. I have a pretty good network of friends. I kind of intersect in a weird kind of cross section of communities. I'm really involved with like the activist anarchist community, as well as the spiritual kind of organic movement kind of community as well. And so it's a really great pool of people to draw on, because that particular event kind of drew a few different kind of ideas together, which kind of appealed to different people in different ways.
Yeah.
So, and I had also a friend, Sean Jason. He was also really behind it as well, and soon after creating the event, he asked me if he could also be a host and get the word out and do whatever he could to help it happen. So, big props to him as well.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's great when other people are like getting on board with the initiative, and yeah, they want to see something like this become a success. So now I know, again, like we haven't met in person. Now I've run into Darius in the past, and that was actually like where I got a CD when I first heard some of your music on, which we'll play.
Oh, nice.
shortly in a bit. One of your songs, absolutely love the song "Who Are We," which I think has like some amazing lyrics in it. So I look forward to sharing that. Now, what I just sort of want to ask is, like, I've seen in your videos and stuff, you have a nice Alex Grey tattoo on your shoulder. Do you not?
Yes, I do, for sure. It's a piece of his called "Praying," and it's one of my favorite paintings for sure. It actually it has a special meaning for me. Like about 5 years ago, 2007, I went down to Peru, and I was able to partake in the ayahuasca ceremony.
Oh, wow.
And it was a very life-changing thing, and like Alex Gray's paintings kind of like were the closest thing that I could see that would resemble that experience, which was really profound for me to see somebody else recreate visions I'd seen in that state. And just getting into his artwork and understanding where he's coming from and really trying to understand the mystical experience deeper has been a really important part of my life for the last 5 years.
Absolutely, yeah. We've talked a fair bit about ayahuasca in the past, and I think from having done that through your own experience, I think a flash mob meditation probably means a little bit. You probably perceive it a little bit differently than some people, because I mean, we've talked about this on the show before, but this idea that like there's no such thing as empty space. So when people are actually sitting there and meditating and like creating these vibrations, though we might not be able to see it with our naked eye, like there actually is like this bubble of vibrational energy that is being formed. And I would just be curious, like, what do you think about that? Like, I mean, there's a real like tangible aspect as to what's going on when we do something like group meditation. Like, would you agree?
I would, for sure. I think human beings were incredible creators and creatures on this planet, and what our capabilities we're just scratching the surface of right now. And the ayahuasca really opened my eyes to the potential of this other reality that was happening that I wasn't aware of before. And of no fault of my own, just like, it's really hard because we don't have very many teachers and very many paths that are clear leading towards this reality which is much more profound, I think, when you connect to it. The mystical realm, the realm of dreams, the subconscious, whatever you want to call it, there's something else happening that is just as important as this material reality. And it's accessible, and it can be used for good, and it can be used for bad. And you see our culture does whatever it can to destroy our capabilities to reach for those places through the traumatic kind of nature of this capitalist system, which runs on fear and ego. That just makes it really hard to clear the mind to get to that state, because most of us are in a constant state of not being at ease. There's lots of anxiety and fear, paying the bills, eating, having friends, being popular, having enough time between work and all these different things to do things that you want to do that will fulfill you.
Mm-hmm.
It's very possible when we get together that we can create a new perception of reality. And I do believe that human beings can do much better than we are right now. And I think through the internet, a lot of these things are starting to germinate and take root.
Yeah. And it's cool, man, because I mean, I know bringing you on for the meditation would totally just be a springboard to give you a chance to share some of your other perceptions and stuff. So maybe just to keep things moving along, because I mean, this is there's plenty of room on the show for other people, and I do appreciate you being on here. But what else would you like to be able to share, like with an audience here, like in terms of I mean, even just like like we got like the 2012 date coming up and stuff like that. Like, what message do you think people need to sort of take to heart with them, so to speak, if you have something to share?
For sure. I think do whatever you can to heal yourself and heal the world. Like, there's all types of problems happening, and we all have power. We all have individual power and collective power, and the more we realize that, the more we can create the world we want to see. And it starts, really nuts and bolts, just like be kind to the people in your life. Love each other. Don't hurt each other. Real simple from there, and then go out and challenge the systems which kind of value those things, use oppression and domination to create wealth. Like, question those things, question the fundamentals of it. I think it's incumbent upon spiritual people to become active and incumbent on active people to become spiritual. And when those things happen, that's when the real change is going to happen on the planet. I think that's what's happening right now. I think it's a beautiful thing. 2012 is an opportunity, and it's not that one particular date, but it's been happening for a long time, this shift, and now it's going into kind of an exponential growth, and we all have the capability to plug into that, and it's an opportunity right now. So let's all do the best we can.
Yeah, like, you know, like one of the things, you know, people sort of talk about like specific dates, like even like full moons and, you know, like 11/11 and stuff like that. And they sort of, if they were to like ask me what I think about that, I mean, yes, there is some sort of like cosmic energy going along with that. But I mean, psychologically, you can even just sort of use it as a spiritual boost point, so to speak. So, I mean, yeah, like at the very least, 2012, you know, or December 21st rather, can be like a huge spiritual boost point when we have like so many collective energy on a single idea, or, you know, just the fact that like everybody's come December 21st, like it's like, I don't know, do you have any sort of feelings, or do you have any plans rather of what you might do with that day?
I'm still not sure. There's talks about doing some kind of crazy street party. Me and a few friends have been throwing the idea around, because it's going to be such an epic day for sure. I think because, you know, what we believe in actually starts taking power. So the fact that so many people believe that this date has some kind of meaning behind it, I think it does. And so to use that for the most positive thing possible, I think is the most important thing. And see it like, you know, the way I see it is that if any world is coming to an end, it's the old paradigm of hierarchical society based on oppression and domination. That's what's really ending, and a new world based on compassion and love is what's really breaking forth. And you see it all over the place. Like, for example, in New York during Hurricane Sandy, the old world system of, you know, the government, FEMA, all these things, they were unable to meet the needs of the people. And through that, Occupy Wall Street filled that gap through Occupy Sandy and was the best first responders throughout New York and the East Coast. And it really shows that the new world is already taking root and growing up. And when you see the cracks in the old system, and when those cracks become bigger and bigger, that's when this new world is growing up through it. And it's really beautiful to see, and I really believe it's already growing. It's inside all of our minds, inside all of our hearts right now. We just got to feed it, water it with positivity and solidarity with each other, help each other out, and then I really think we're breaking through.
Very cool, man. Now, just another thing that I did want to touch on, because, you know, a lot of people will say, like, when it comes to, like, fighting the system, like, it's almost so much that you don't want to fight against something, but rather you want to promote what you love. So, you know, so don't fight what you hate, promote what you love, sort of thing. Now, in the past, like, you were fairly involved with, like, the G20 protests that happened here in Toronto. Do you think something like the G20 protest is likely to, like, be needed again, or do you think it should or will happen again, either, I mean, here in Toronto or elsewhere?
I don't think it'll ever happen in Toronto again. I think something similar to it will happen. It is happening all over the place. If you look what's happening in Europe right now, Spain, Italy, Greece, the economies are all being targeted by the financial mafia, which is the ruling class, which are the IMF and World Bank and the European Central Bank, all putting the squeeze on these economies, basically forcing austerity on all these people. And it's unfortunate. You know, I really, like, what I wish would happen was that the people in power would realize what they're doing is not good for them, it's not good for anybody, and that they'd stop doing it. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, what I see is them, like, in a sociopathic kind of mindset, doing whatever they can to maintain power, while at the same time recognizing that through the internet, through this interconnectedness that's growing, people are realizing the world's becoming transparent, and we see all the corruption around us. And at some point, you know, they got to give up the ghost. Either, like, you know, create a better, like, let the room be for us to grow this new world. But it seems so unlikely that they'll do that based on their past actions. So I really don't have an answer to it. Yeah. I would like to see it be a positive situation, obviously, but, you know, you see things like, you know, 9/11, the war on terror, the war on drugs, all these things designed to basically, you know, make us victims of this kind of totalitarian fascist system, which is getting worse and worse all the time. You see, like, the National Defense Authorization Act Obama passed last year, where they can indefinitely detain you in the States without any trial, any of kind of the things that the Constitution guarantees. you see the government's just constantly taking away rights. Economically, the war on the lower class is continuously going on and getting worse all across the states. People are becoming eviscerated, losing their homes all across Europe, all across the world. So it's really interesting because you have this old system that's based on power, based on ego, based on domination, and it's not working for the majority of the people. All the time, more people are being hurt by it, and at the same time, you have this information, this knowledge that's flowing everywhere, and it seems like these two things are at some point going to collide. I don't know what the outcome is going to be. Whatever happens between now and then, I'm going to do whatever I can to make it a positive outcome, because I believe we're not passive actors in this. We all have a part to play. So just wherever you can fit in, whatever you love to do, and try and do it to make the world a better place. And I think the more people that do that, the closer we get to being able to challenge that system, and hopefully that system will just dissolve because a paradigm shift will happen.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, like we literally need to do that. We literally need to create that new reality for us to exist in, and it starts with our actions, and it starts with, like you said, it starts with doing stuff. So even if that includes music, which is something that you're obviously quite adept at. So now I'd like to, I'm gonna play this track, and maybe we'll just talk a little bit about it afterwards. Or do you want to introduce it? Or actually, okay, here's a better question. How long ago did you make this track?
This track was made in 2009. It's really awesome because it was the first track me and Darius, aka Testament, made together. We were on tour, and I had written it already because we were both kind of solo artists before, and we went on a tour and we decided to start making music together, and it was the first song we collaborated on, and it came out really nice. So definitely a positive first track that we put together.
Yeah, and now was 2009, was this after you had experienced your ayahuasca ceremonies?
Yes, I experienced it in 2007, and actually again this year I went back and did it again.
Oh, cool. All right, well, let's play this track, and then we'll sort of come back, and then we'll just sort of talk about that a bit, and then maybe talk about any sort of information that you might want to share from your last ayahuasca experience, if that's something cool with you. So
yeah, sounds great.
Okay, so I'm just going to cue this up, and we'll meet the mics, and we'll be back in about a minute 30 seconds. So this is Test Their Logik, We Are the Ones, and check them out on Facebook, guys, at facebook.com/testtheirlogik, and it's Logik with a K, Logik. So I'll post a link to that in the live chat. And in the meantime, here's a little taste of what Chris and Darius are up to in their little music that they got going on. So, word. All right.
We're all shining suns, united by the one verse that the tongue of God creates when sung from the lungs. From the depths of breath is where all begun. What I'm saying is that we're all connected. That's why all creatures must be respected. Everything's a reflection, represented. We're all God's creation, manifested a sensation. Housed in the temple, the physical, spiritual, and the mental. Fundamental to balance yourself. Detrimental, ignoring your health and how we're controlled. No knowledge of self. Better know the days we're in. Get them books off the shelf. The clock is ticking, we're approaching the 12th hour. The power's ours, reality is flow. Who are you? Who are you? You're the world, yes it's true. Who am I? I'm the sky, that's no lie. Who are we? We're the ones who can see. Who are we? We're the ones who can be. The people who gonna set free. The world bring equality. A life built on quality. It's easy to see. You and me are the ones. We the ones who gotta save it all. We the ones we've been waiting for. We the ones who gotta save it all.
All right, so there you go, guys. A little sample from Test Logik, and that track will be included into the show notes as well, so you can check it out on YouTube. And again, check out their Facebook, facebook.com/testtheirlogik with a K. So, man, that song, like, I still hear that, and it still sends like that nice shiver up my spine. It gets me, man. Like I used to.
Oh, nice, man.
Like when I got that CD from Darius and I had it and I converted it and put it on my MP3 player, like there was a good while where I was going through college and I was listening to that song every day. So
right on.
so much, man. Like just especially the verses that we heard there, like, you know, you're talking about like we're all reflections of the one. Like I think like can you expand on that from your own experiences and perspective, and maybe tie that in with your ayahuasca experience if you can.
For sure, we're all just reflections of the same thing. We're just that drop from the ocean, and when we get the egos out of the way, we can really connect to that. And it's crazy because like our world, you know, we've the mental side, the rational side has taken such a dominant position in our lives, and connecting to the spirit really makes you recognize that we're all from the same thing. We're all basically at the end of the day want the same thing, to be treated good, to be loved, to be cared for, and we all need the same things. So really recognizing and treating each other like you want to be treated. It's just such a simple thing, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure, man. And how's the community in Toronto going? Because I mean, there is a Paradigm Shift Toronto, but I mean, I know that you're not like totally involved with that, but I mean, that's because there's so much already happening in Toronto. There's quite a few pages and quite a few events happening on a regular basis. So yeah, how's that looking from your perspective?
There's amazing people in Toronto. That's why I come back here all the time. I was born and raised in Toronto for real. There's all types of, you know, Toronto's hated on by a lot of people all over the place because it is like Babylon. You know, there is like the center of Canadian capitalism is here, Bay Street, which should be called Mining Street, because, you know, the Canadian economy is based on mining, and it destroys a lot of places, a lot of communities, a lot of the world is eviscerated because of Bay Street. But there's just such amazing people. There's such amazing spiritual people, activists of all different stripes. It's a really cool place to be, as well as the intersecting of the world, all the different communities from across the planet. It's a really special place for that reason.
Sure, for sure. Well, guys, if you want to get in contact with some of the community within Toronto, just, I mean, you could probably, actually, there are some links that I can include in the show notes. There's quite a few different Facebook pages, but be sure to check out the facebook.com/ParadigmShiftToronto. I know they are going to be having some events in the near future, so check that out and just sort of making the connections. So anything you want to mention or promote?
Yeah, I'm involved with like the Om community here as well, the Om Music Festival, lots of great people there. The local, you know, anarchist, Occupy groups, I definitely have lots of friends in as well. And No One Is Illegal is a really amazing activist group as well that I have lots of friends in. So there's all different types of people. There's so much to do. There's so many people that it allows for like a broad, diverse kind of groups of people doing their own thing, and sometimes they don't always, you know, cross paths all the time, but they're doing their thing, and it's an awesome place to be because of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
We try through the music to try and bring different kinds of groups of people together. You know what I mean? We don't like try and pigeonhole ourselves just in one kind of thing. We're trying to like speak on all different types of life and aspects of things that are important to us as well.
For sure. So now I was actually I'm curious, man, because I mean I wasn't sure if I was going to have you on air for too long or what, but if in the past we usually do have a meditation at some point in the show. Now while you're still on the air, I'm curious, would that be something that you'd be interested in perhaps leading us into a group meditation that we do on air?
For sure. I'm actually I'm also a yoga teacher. That's what I do to make some living money, you know.
Yeah, cool.
So, it's one of the things I do on a regular. I teach at this place called Om Center Toronto, which is at Spadina in College. And I also do meditation. I volunteer at Humber Hospital, and I do meditation classes with an addiction recovery group once a week. So it's something I'm well versed in.
All right, man. Well, I think that would be great, and we can actually sort of do that. We might as well do that within the next couple minutes, and then for anybody who's listening in the show, what we'll do after our meditation, we'll keep the lines open up for anybody who wants to call in. So I may be bringing on another person on the air with me, either Jen or Vaughn or someone, and we can sort of get some co-hosting action going on. And I know Nathaniel may be coming on later in the show, so maybe we'll do that. But if anybody would like to get a chance to call into Paradigm Shift Radio. Plan to do that after we come out of our meditation, and then hopefully we'll get you on the air and we'll go from there. So again, bringing whatever topic or maybe a question that you might have onto the show, and just using this platform to share your voice and express yourself. So very cool stuff that we got. And now, Chris, do you mind if people add you on Facebook?
Not at all. Yeah, for sure. C Reality is my Facebook handle.
Right on. Cool.
Like
all right.
The letter C, then EERE space ALITY.
Yeah, cool. All right, so we shared that in the live chat, and we'll have that in the show notes as well. And again, check out facebook.com/tested-logic, and any other links that you might want to have, send my way, Chris, and I'll include them in the show notes. And before we get into the meditation, anything else that you would like to mention, either specific group pages or just some sort of message, and then we can sort of move our way into the meditation together.
For sure. Testtheirlogic.com, logic with a K, is where we're going to be doing lots of stuff from there. We have a new album coming out next month. We're working on it really hard right now. That's basically what I'm spending most of my time doing right now, is working on this new album. It's going to be we're really excited about it. There's a lot of really cool things happening, and it's going to be a big step up for us musically, as well as just like the quality of the production, the message, the diversity of topics we're going to be bringing up. And we're really excited for it.
Cool, man. Cool. Sounds good. All right. So there you go, guys. Awesome stuff. And thank you again for being on the show so far. And thank you for helping initiate the flash mob meditation in Toronto. I'm so glad to hear that went well. And I hope that we see plenty more events like it, either in Toronto, either in London, or either in the communities of the people who are listening to the show right now and are inspired by what people like myself, people like you, and people like everyone listening are doing and have the potential to do. So again, guys, like, it's up to us. I mean, no pressure or anything, because this is all a ride. It's all fun and games, but have fun with it, do that. Find creative ways to engage with your community and bring them together and shift paradigms. So very cool stuff. All right, man. Now I'm going to just sort of leave it to you and walk us into the meditation and let me know, and I'm going to cue up an audio track. It's a singing bowl that we have. Now, do you have, if I were to give you a choice in terms of chakra singing bowls, if I were to give you a choice between brow chakra, heart chakra, root chakra, or solar, which one would you like to go with?
Let's go with the brow, because we're entering the dark season of winter, so we're going higher up the chakras right now. It's the time to penetrate deep into reality, and that's the third eye.
There we go. Cool, man. All right, so the microphone is yours. Let me know when you want me to cue up the music, and then after the 5-minute music, we'll bring us both back on air. So it's all yours.
Amazing. Namaste, everybody. So everybody just take a deep breath in through their nose, just centering themselves into the present moment. Deep breath in, breathing out. No worries about yesterday or tomorrow. Just becoming present now in the moment. And this is called the Yoga Nidra meditation, and I kind of do my own spin on it as well. So you might be lying down, you might be in a chair, whichever position you are, just try and relax. And we're going to use the power of our mind as an ally today. So often it can be a hindrance, but today we'll use it to help ourselves relax and find a calm space for ourselves to be in. So just sending all your thoughts down your body, all the way to the tips of your toes. You can wiggle your toes if you want, touching your toes with your mind. Feel the balls of the feet, the arches and heels, the insteps and the ankles all the way around. Feel any pain or tension you might have in your feet and direct it to leave your body, and feel it do so upon issuing the command, relaxing your feet, and feel your feet get heavier here. I'm going to touch the shins and the calves of the mind, feeling the knees, the thighs, the quadriceps, and the hamstrings. Feel how the legs root into the body through the hips. Feel the entire length of your legs, and feel any pain or tension you might have in your legs directed to leave your body, relaxing the legs. And feel your legs get heavier now as well. Touching the hips and pelvis, relaxing here too. Feeling the abdomen, the lower back, the middle and upper back into the shoulders and chest, the rib cage. Feeling all the different parts of the torso. Feel any pain or tension that's left in your torso directed to leave your body, relaxing the torso. And sending your thoughts to your fingertips, down the arms. You can wiggle your fingers if you want. Touching the knuckles and the palms, the thumbs, the backs of the hands and the wrists all the way around, relaxing the hands. The forearms and elbows, relaxing here as well. The bicep, tricep, deltoid muscles, relaxing the entire length of your arm. To everything getting heavier and heavier, every breath. Surrendering to gravity. Touching the neck and the throat, relaxing here now as well. Feeling the weight of your head. Feel the brow, the crown. Relaxing these areas, relax the scalp. Feeling the forehead, the eyebrows, the bridge of the nose, the eyes themselves, eyelashes and eyelids, feeling the cheeks, the nose and the nostrils, the upper lip, the mouth, the teeth and the tongue, and the chin and jaw all the way back to the ears. Feeling all the different parts of your face, feel any pain or tension that's left in your face directed to leave your body, relaxing your face. Feel all the muscles in your face soften now. Everything in your body getting heavier and heavier, surrendering to the earth as it pulls you down. Visualize this relaxed state as a cocoon of white light around your body. Every breath getting brighter and brighter. And let this white light penetrate every cell in your body, going to the very marrow of your bones, bringing health and vitality into you, removing illness or disease. I want you to inhale this white light, let it fill your body up, fill up your lungs with this white light, touching the lungs as well, relaxing the lungs. And finally letting this light find a home in your heart center. Touch your heart with your mind. Feel the rhythm of its beat. Feel any pain, tension, or wounds you might be carrying in your heart and direct it to leave your body. And feel it do so upon issuing the command, relaxing the heart. And feel your heartbeat slow down here. Now visualize this white light spreading out from your heart in an infinite web, connecting you to all the plants, all the animals, and all the humans on this planet. And direct your most powerful healing energy you have to all these different creatures and all the different dimensions on this planet, making the planet a brighter and better place. And we'll just stay in this state. You can play the singing bowl. Everybody take a deep breath in. Exhale, allow your eyes to slowly open. Bring in the room or wherever you are back into your consciousness. Take another deep breath in. And exhale everything out. You can do a stretch here, touch your toes, reach for the ceiling, open the heart up. Namaste, everybody.
All right. Well, that was a good one. I think taking that little bit of extra time to really, smoothly work our way into it very slowly like that actually makes a big difference. So, good job to everyone who took part in that. And I can always tell a meditation went well when there's no new messages in the live chat from when we. No one's cheating or anything, right? All right, good job, guys. Now, just maybe in terms of a little conversation about meditation, since you are obviously familiar with it and you teach it yourself, if someone were to ask, like, what's the difference between meditating for, 1 minute and meditating for, 10 minutes, Because, some people would just be like, oh, well, I'm just sitting here. Like what am I doing? Like, how would you answer that?
At first, it can seem really difficult to quiet the mind. Like everything, it just takes practice. So don't feel any, pressure or don't get down on yourself if you can't do it perfectly the first time. It's really tough to do. We have all types of things going through our mind all the time, all types of responsibilities. But just recognize it as time that you can take to just give yourself a little something extra to help your day.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of people, they overcomplicate meditation for themselves, and I think even if you're new to it, just start with the breath. Find some good music that's going to help you get into it, and just sort of understand that thoughts are going to come into your mind, and the goal may not necessarily be to completely silence the mind, but rather to be able to recognize when thoughts come into the mind and then to be able to let them go. And if you use the breath, that's something where you can always focus back onto that. So keep your focus on the breath, and then you might find yourself thinking about bills you have to pay, but then just let that go and return yourself to the breath. So it's always that centering point, that balance point. We want to sort of be able to control that sway of the pendulum, so to speak. So I think it's cool that more people are meditating, and I hope that it does catch on, and it's awesome that we actually do have a community to be able to do it digitally too. That's something that, it's just still, I'm just so grateful for everyone who's taking part in this and will continue to take part in it even in the future. In terms of people listening to the show after it's already aired, because there's still energy attached with the moment that we just took part in and created. So, Chris, thanks again for taking the time, for being here. Is there any sort of final message that you just want to leave our audience with before we let you go?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, it was great to be on here. I just want to big up some friends, Indignants. They made our video. Darius, big ups. He's my brother from another. It's a big honor to make music and do what we love to do. Testerlogic.com. We're gonna be dropping a new album next month. So as well, if you want to come to my yoga classes, check out omcenteryoga.com. My name is Christopher on the schedule. I teach warrior yoga, and just generally go out there and make this a better planet. It's all on us. Nobody else is gonna do it. Recognize when you do it, your life changes in beautiful ways, and just keep following your heart, live from your heart, love each other,
Right on, man. Very cool, very cool. And send me any links that you've mentioned there, and we'll make sure for people listening that they will be included in the show notes as well. So thanks again, man, and you're welcome to call into the show in the future if you feel the need to, and let your friends know about this so that we can get more people from Toronto directly involved and help us strengthen that grid even more. So
awesome. Yeah, big ups to London. I got lots of friends out there. It's a great place.
And let me know if you're swinging through London anytime soon.
Okay, right on, brother. Thanks a lot.
All right, we're going to let you go. Take it easy.
What's up?
All right, guys. So that was Chris, a.k.a. C Reality from Tester Logik, and that was the music that you would have heard earlier in the show. And again, go to facebook.com/testerlogic, and the information for that will be posted in the show notes as well. So there you go, guys. We're about it's midnight, like on the dot. So we've officially transitioned into another psychedelic Sunday, I think is the term that we've been using in the past. So very cool stuff going on. All right, guys. So from here on, what we're going to do, we're going to pretty much open the lines to anybody who would like to get involved with the show. So if you have Skype, one of the easiest ways to call in is through the Blog Talk actual address, and you'll see a Skype icon next to the host number, and if you click that, it'll ask you to launch Skype, and then do that and press 1 so that I know you're in the queue and I know that you're looking to come on, and then we will go from there. And in the meantime, guys, I would just like to say, please do what you can to help promote this show. You guys have been doing an excellent job, but any more help is greatly appreciated, because this is one way that we can change lives, is by using the digital technologies that we have. And that's something that I'm a really big fan of. You know, for those of you who haven't already, please check me out on YouTube as well. So youtube.com/SkullBabylon. And to let everyone know, I'm still working on the 3 Days of Light Journey to Rockmont documentary project. And I was working on it for a good solid 6 or 7 hours today and made some pretty good headway. So expect to see that in due time is what I keep saying. But I'm pretty confident. I'm really happy with how it's looking so far, and I look forward to sharing that with you guys. And for those who are unfamiliar with that, go to ParadigmShiftCentral.com/JTR, and the trailer for the Journey to Rockmont documentary is already up there, so you can check that out and check out any of the other videos that I've done in the past. And with that said, what I would like to also mention, guys, is if you would like to help support the Paradigm Shift communities, meaning if you would like to help keep Paradigm Shift Radio on the air, and if you would like to help contribute to the Paradigm Shift funds, which will help the expansion and growth of other Paradigm Shift communities by contributing them funds to help pay for things like printing posters, and eventually things like buttons and t-shirts down the lines as the funds begin to accumulate. Please feel free to do that at ParadigmShiftCentral.com/donate, or just go to ParadigmShiftCentral.com and you'll see the donate button on the side there, and those are greatly appreciated. And I would also like to mention, if you would like to directly donate to myself in some way or another, please feel free to message me on Facebook. So rather than just, because there's the Paradigm Shift funds, and then if you want to be able to donate some additional money to me, and I'm, I sort of have a hard time asking for money, because I don't want to make it sound like I'm charging people money in order to be able to share knowledge, because knowledge should be free, first and foremost. So what you would be doing is helping support me do this continuously as a living in some way or another. I mean, I'm still trying to find other work on the side, but truth be told, guys, I went to school for, if I were to try and sell you in terms of what I do and who I am and everything, I went to school for television production. So, I mean, I have a degree and a diploma, and if I was out in the field working, and if this was a client job, I'd probably be charging close to $30-$40 an hour for some of the work that I'm doing, such as spending the last 3-4 weeks editing the Journey to Rockmont project, because I want to be able to share that with you guys regardless, no matter what, because it's important to be able to get that story out. But if you'd like to help me be able to afford bread in some way or another, then please feel free to add me on Facebook and message me, and we can just do a donation through Interact, which is just an email transaction. So add me on Facebook at facebook.com/SkullBabylon, and I assure you I won't be asking for money very frequently. It's one of the few times that I do, but Space Cash is part of this reality, and it is greatly appreciated in any way. So even if you don't want to donate me money, even if you want to donate me crystals or something like that, if you want to mail something my way, some sort of trinket or item, that's totally cool too. I have never gotten that kind of stuff, but I love it if you can actually do that. So feel free to add me on Facebook, again at facebook.com/SkullBabylon, guys, and any help is greatly appreciated. But of course, if you don't have Space Cash, just keep doing your thing by promoting this show in some way or another. And again, the YouTube version of this episode will go up within the next 24 hours, so you can listen to it again on Blog Talk almost immediately after the show airs, or you can listen to it on YouTube again, and that'll have all the show links and notes. And please feel free to share the YouTube links so that more people can continue to get involved with the show. So there's a little bit of standard information there. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do from here, I am going to kind of randomly pick someone, so to speak, out of the queue, and then we're just going to really see what they would like to bring onto the show. And again, if you would like to call in, please feel free to do so, and we will be on air live until about 1 a.m. tonight. And what do you guys think? Do you guys want to, like, you guys in the live chat tell me, like, do you guys want Elijah? Do you want Nathaniel? Do you want Thoth to come on the show tonight? Maybe some of you like have some questions you want to ask them. So rather than getting like super serious Thoth, maybe we'll just have like casual Thoth on air tonight. So it's up to you guys. So Elijah, if you're willing to do that, message me and maybe we'll bring you on within the next maybe like 20 or so minutes. But in the meantime, the first caller that I am going to bring onto the air is going to be Patrick. So Patrick, I know we had actually spoken not too long ago earlier today, and if you're ready, I'm actually going to bring you onto the air right now, and we'll go from there.
I'm ready.
Patrick, you can
ready. Yes, I'm ready.
Cool, man. All right, so tell the people, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Pointe-Claire, Montreal, Canada.
Awesome. And what would you like to bring to the show?
I was going to bring to the show tonight, first a few shout-outs also, just like normal. Shout out to you guys out there in Toronto. I dropped by London when I was going by to Niagara Falls the last time, and it was a lot of fun. And I wish I had just stopped by in London to see you, but it's a little bit farther away from Niagara Falls. Shout out to my brother Sylvain, who's in USA right now, and shout out to Nathaniel, man. It's crazy to be able to talk to him.
Yeah, cool, man. All right, well, what would you, topic-wise, like, what would you like to sort of talk about?
Sleep paralysis, because I'm into that right now. I would like to know if you or anybody in the chat knows about how to go from sleep paralysis consciousness, where you're basically, in your bed, you're asleep, but you're conscious of your sleep, and you have that, you're paralyzed. But then, how do you go from that to an OBE, or how do you go from that to becoming lucid, or having a separation from your body?
Okay, so before I'm not really sure if I would be able to provide the best answer for that, but what I would like to sort of use this opportunity for, guys, is if someone listens to this show, and maybe someone who's already queued up on the Skype call-in list has an answer that they feel that they would be able to give about OBEs and sleep paralysis, message me right now on the Blog Talk Radio live chat. So you'll see my name in the right under Paradigm Shift Radio. So just private message me and just be like, oh, I've got an answer, and then we can sort of bring it on, because I'm not really sure how much.
We can bring it back after. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I have a few more questions as well.
Okay, all right, okay. So maybe let's hold on to that one. But yeah, if you got like another question, let's is it a different topic?
Yeah, different topic.
Okay, sure.
It's kind of like about when the dimensional shift occurs.
Okay.
I read in June Bellows' novel, the second part, that 5 to 6 hours before the shift, things will kind of start disintegrating. And I looked in the Bible and in Revelations and kind of said that too a little bit. I'm not going to quote the Bible because I don't have it at hand there, but it kind of says 5 to 6 hours beforehand, you're going to things like that are not made out of stone and tree are going to start to disintegrate. Does anyone know about that either?
I think that in itself is a really interesting idea, and it'll be crazy if that is actually something that we will experience in our lifetime. Because I think a lot of people who are sort of like in the status quo, in terms of culture, sort of in that bubble, I don't even know if they would be able to perceive it, so to speak. It's a very peculiar scenario. So I think, when we talk about vibrations and we talk about reality, it's the vibrations that hold this reality in this dense state. So if because of the vibrations, that's why we can't put our hands through the right now. But if that vibration were to change, then things may become less dense, meaning that like material objects would, we'd be able to like pass our hands through them, or things would start like, so like you said, maybe like disappearing. And now I'll actually, because I'd like to get some more detail on what you've read about like how this coincides with this.
I'm going to look for it right now.
What I think is actually interesting, because I've sort of had this idea before, and maybe it was probably mentioned in Spirit Science in John Blow's book, but I think I like sort of came across it elsewhere, or maybe I just thought it up on my own. But it was like this idea that ancient cultures in the past, they had a good understanding of dimensional shifts like occurring. They knew it was part of the cycle. They knew it was going to happen at some point or another, which is why that they would commonly leave behind monolithic structures or stone. Like some thing
that doesn't break when the shifts can occur.
Fine, like they understood that, whereas they themselves like sort of went up in vibration, so to speak, and left behind these artifacts. Like one of a good example would be like the heads of Easter Island, or even like or any of like the other monolithic structures that you have in the world. So I think, do you got something there in terms of more information relating to this event, so to speak?
Yeah, I do have more information. I just I looked it up right away there. I could totally read the paragraph if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
6 hours before the shift. Let's begin 6 hours before the shift. You wake up on a clear, cool morning feeling great. As you stand up, you realize that you are feeling very light and a little strange. You decide to take a bath. As you're watching the water, you sense something behind you. You turn and see a large, brightly glowing object of strange colors floating about 3 feet off the floor next to the wall. As you try to figure out what this is, a smaller one appears out of nowhere a few feet away. They begin to float around the room. They jump up and run into the bedroom, only to see... You jump up and run into the bedroom, only to see the whole room filled with these strange, unimaginable things. You might think you are having a mental breakdown, or chat, maybe a brain tumor, or is affecting your perception, but neither is the case. Suddenly, the floor begins to break apart, and the whole house begins to distort. You run outside into nature, where everything seems normal, except that there are many of these strange things everywhere.
So it?
Yeah, well, that's about the beginning of it, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, like I don't know. I'm kind of curious as to what Nathaniel Elijah might have to say about this in terms of one thing or another. But I mean, like this dimensional shift, this event. Like I don't know if that's particularly what I think is to be expected with like the 21st date. Like I wouldn't really be expecting it with that date. But I mean, will it happen eventually? Who knows? It's something to keep in mind. And I think that's like the important part about a conversation like this. It's not to necessarily be scared of it, be freaked out about it, but to sort of be open up to the possibility of something crazy, dimensionally shifting happening. And then when it does happen, you would just be like, holy crap. Like this is happening. This is it.
I'm more happy to see it happen than to be scared of it. But Nathaniel got me a little spooked today.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you got a lot of the viewers are probably spooked.
Yeah. I think like the last message that he left on episode 22 of Paradigm Shift Radio was a very serious and a very like weighted message. So yeah, but again, it's nothing to be like scared about. I think if anything, it just should sort of help sway us into the direction that we need to be going in, so to speak. So yeah.
I'm swayed for sure.
Yeah. Like okay, like this dimensional shift or whatever, is this, I mean, according to your book, is this the same thing? Would this, would a polar shift be something different, or would it be like corresponding?
I'm not even sure if it's with a polar shift. I mean, it looks like this is just those little bright colors. I've seen this. I just read this today about a guy having a DMT trip and having these little balls jump around him in a room. They're like unimaginable little balls that look like what are those crazy colored painted eggs there? I can't find the word right now, but these little balls basically are like little balls of light, like what we would be if we were spirit. I'm guessing we would be balls of light and energy, and these balls of light would be in your house, kind of thing, just floating around. You know, like you see them in pictures on in your camera sometimes, but you'd see them in real life, kind of thing.
That topic seems to be coming up time and time again within the recent episodes of Paradigm Shift, since I actually theoretically caught some of them on film on 2 different occasions. But I think, yeah, that's an interesting idea in itself, and I know it's something I actually watched in a video that Drumbolo, like he's being interviewed, and he talked about it. This idea that when we're traveling in our Merkaba, you know, our light body vehicle, when it's active, we actually do shrink down in size in the same way that we could go up in size, but we're literally that. We are literally just this ball of light sort of moving around. So when we see all these balls of light, and like you're saying, some people are starting to see these in real life, you know, in the sense that, like, whether it's intentional or not, they're maybe casting them out of the eye. And yeah, I think it's interesting to sort of think that each one of those is an entity, is potentially like a person in itself. So that's yeah, and they're all around us. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. I think something like paradigm shift is important because I think more people are having their senses opened up to this perception, and maybe some people like aren't ready for it or they don't understand it. So being able to talk about it, being able to admit that people are seeing the first steps. But yeah, what kind of what you're saying, there may come a point where there might be some sort of shift, some sort of literal vibrational shift, but whether I'm not entirely sure what would cause it, so to speak, but there may come a point where these are going to become like, you know, we can't deny them. You will be seeing them in like firsthand, so to speak. So again, for people listening to the show, if it happens, just say that you heard about it first on Paradigm Shift Radio.
All right. Well, I guess I'll leave it there at that. Let somebody else talk now. And just a shout out to my friend Dharmesh Patel in London. I miss you so much, buddy.
Well, just in terms of the OBE and the sleep paralysis, somebody was talking in the chat, and I was kind of reading. So just what they said, I think it was Tammy, I think it was Tammy who said it. They said that when spirit is absent, the body is unable to move. It is either dead or in a state of sleep paralysis. Since this process is universal, it does not have to be feared. People do not die from it, or I didn't copy all of it. My bad. But yeah, I think sleep paralysis, if anything, can sort of be a testament to the fact that we as consciousness don't need our body to operate, so to speak. So, you know, the body is sort of secondary to our perception as consciousness, and that itself can sort of like float around outside of the body. So when you get into these states where you may be having an out-of-body experience, and then suddenly you're like aware of it and you're unable to move your body, the first thing to do would be to not freak out about it, but to actually be able to understand that it's something like quite natural. And yeah, like I haven't really had too many sleep paralysis experience. Like, have you had quite a few, or I mean,
yeah, I've had a few actually. Last night it was another one that was really, really cool. I woke up about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't move. You know, like the book says or whatever, like a Lucidology 101 says. And then I went back to sleep. I let my body fall asleep, and then I let my brain fall asleep, and I had a lucid dream. I got up off my bed. I felt like I was detached from my body, and I was jumping up and down on the bed like a little kid, and I was really happy. And then I went to the window, and I'm seeing UFOs all over this night sky, and I look out past my front tree, and I see the complete universe. Like, just, you know how our Milky Way galaxy is when you see it overhead? I saw it horizontal, and I saw it so bright. I've never seen so many stars, and I saw like super light flashes, and then I don't know, my tree started to try to eat me, and then I woke up.
Pretty cool, man. No, that's a sweet experience. So, right on. All right, man. Well, anything else that you would like to share on the show?
No, that's okay.
Cool. All right.
Thanks a lot for the conversation.
Absolutely, man. And I'll talk to you in the near future, I'm sure. So, thanks again, Patrick. And if you'd like, post your address, like your Facebook, in the live chat, and we'll include that in the show notes if you'd like people to get in touch with you. So,
no problem. Posted.
Great. All right. Talk to you later, man. Cheers.
All right. Bye.
Cool. So that was Patrick from Montreal. Now, one thing that he was sort of like briefly mentioning, and I'll just sort of mention this because it's something that I did want to share, and it came to mind last week. It was sort of like a new idea, I guess you could say, in terms of this theme of people. As we continue to move forward, there are going to be more and more people who are going to start seeing things, and they're going to be things that are very unusual to them and are going to catch their attention and are going to sort of shake them in some way or another. So whether these actually be like orbs within their own vision or actually some sort of like UFOs like up in the sky, there's actually been quite a few recent UFO sightings in various locations, especially like in America, and you know they're saying that there's more and more, like they're just continuing to happen more and more. My idea was, now you guys sort of tell me what you think about this, and we'll jump off to the next caller. And if the next caller that I bring on has a thought on this, then feel free to share it as well. What I'm thinking is, on the last show, Elijah mentioned the idea of like some sort of like mass deception or something, and this was alluding to the idea of the government using something like Project Bluebeam or HARP, theoretically, to project an image in the sky. Now, obviously, if they did this, they could simulate some sort of UFO type scenario. Now, like, this is me sort of looking at the patterns in the past and sort of thinking about like, okay, if I were them, like, what would I do? What my idea was, and you guys tell me, what my idea is that some of the UFO sightings that we are currently seeing may already be HARP, or not necessarily HARP, but Project Bluebeam, may already be like fake UFOs in the sky, meaning that what we may see as an upcoming event may be like a bunch of lights in the sky. So, I mean, if you were a computer graphic artist, you could sort of create it on a computer first, and what it may be just a bunch of sort of like unidentified lights up in the sky, and maybe they'll be like blinking or like moving around in a certain way. Like that would be incredibly easy to do. So I think again, that's just sort of an idea to keep in mind if there is some sort of like crazy UFO demonstration that occurs, but not necessarily in the terms of like, oh my God, you can see they're like ships up in the sky, but instead if they're just like mysterious lights, and there's like a whole bunch of them for some weird reason, and then they'll probably just leave. Like that's probably what will happen. They'll show up, they'll like blink on and off for a bunch, they'll get noticed, and they'll be obviously there, they'll be unquestionable, but then they'll just leave, and they won't provide an answer, and people will be confused, and they'll be like, what the heck was that? Like, I want an answer. And then that's where you might be getting like some of the side effects of an event like that happening. So if that does happen, I'm just saying, keep in mind that may not be, those might not be like real light brothers and sisters up in the sky, so to speak. They might just be sort of a projection using a Project Bluebeam or what have you. So I think that's just an interesting idea. It was kind of a new idea that came to me, and just something that I want to be able to share with you guys, so that we are more prepared for the infinite possibilities that the future has to offer us. So, you know, a saying that I commonly say, and I've said it in the past and I'll say it again, is this idea of believe nothing and see everything. So think about that, because we really need to do, like, keep everything within the equation here. So, all right, I'm going to bring on another random person onto the air, and then we'll go from there. And it's about 12:23 right now, so we still got plenty of time. And if you guys want Nathaniel to come on the show again, since I know he's pretty popular, let me know. And Nathaniel, feel free to message me, and maybe we'll bring you on within the last half hour of the show, give or take. So caller from number 863-812, I'm going to bring you onto the air, and then we will go from there. So caller 863, get ready. Bringing you on the air.
Hello.
Hello, caller. You can hear us?
Yes. Hello.
Who is this, and where are you calling from?
I am Myra. I am calling from Florida. And I just wanted to call and say hi and say thank you for what you guys are doing. To touch on what that dude was talking about, the sleep paralysis. I experienced that a lot as a young girl, as well as my mom and my dad. And I never achieved astral projection as a young child, but I do remember waking up often in the night around the witching hour. I remember he said it was around 2 or 3 a.m. And just being totally freaked out. And it can be a really scary experience. So, I don't know. I've been there. I've felt that before. And, you know, I think that I listened to the last episode when Dose was talking. And when he was talking about, like, you know, 2012 and the end times and what to expect and what's going to happen, a lot of it resonated heavily with me, and it kind of ties into the sleep paralysis thing because, and even the starseed thing you were reading at the beginning of the show, where I watched this YouTube video, and I cannot find her name right now, but it was by a woman who said she was a starseed, and one of the symptoms that she said when other entities, I guess you could say, were trying to make contact with you was sleep paralysis, that, as you could say, aliens had a way of making your body where you cannot move to kind of test the waters to see if you are ready to make contact with them. Me personally, I've never had any contact with aliens, but I do believe that there is much more out in the universe than we are currently aware of. And I think that it's important to, like you said, you know, I guess know your facts and don't just trust anything, and to protect yourself spiritually, because I think as a community, I myself I'm pagan, so
okay, cool.
It's very ritualized, and you know, anytime we perform a ritual, we always cast a circle ahead of time, and the reason that we do that is to keep negative energies out. And that's, I think, an important thing to do, especially now where we live in this positive, negative universe, that it's easy, especially when you're new to spirituality, to just love all and love everything and open yourself up to all these energies. And sometimes, you know, you don't know what you could be inviting in. So it never hurts to protect yourself with a circle and crystals and prayers and meditations. And, you know, that's my 2 cents on it, is, you know, be mindful and be aware, you know, because there is lots of light and love, but I do think that there is also negative energies that would feed or prey on those who are not mindful and protected. And when he said something about the UFOs, that made me think aliens after the paralysis. But
I think discernment is a very important topic, and it is something that we have to be reminded of, because a lot of people would just get really excited about a lot of these ideas, and like you said, they'll just let anything in. But I mean, that can be a danger in itself. You know, like a person may have, like, you know, they may feel that they're in contact with some sort of like super powerful spirit, but who's to say it's not like some malevolent spirit disguising itself so that you think it's something else? You know, like, I mean, it's a real tricky thing. So you almost want to take the road of caution first and have that benefit of the doubt. Now, using either like an actual pagan ritual or what have you, can you maybe give an example of how somebody would be able to like cast a protection spell or whatever it is that you might do in terms of protection and discernment?
The simple thing of just setting the intent. You know, normally, you know, we go clockwise for positive energy or counterclockwise for banishing any type of negative energies. But just setting the intent, imagine a blue light coming out of your hand as you walk around whatever area you want to work in, and just say, you know, only good vibrations here, keep all the negative out. There's even the, which is kind of old school, but sweeping the area with a broom. Or even when you sweep your home, imagine that you are sweeping the negativity out of your home, burning sage. Usually before ritual, anytime somebody enters a circle, we always smudge them and ask them how they enter. And of course, it can be as elaborate or as simple as you want to. And I guess the reason why I feel personally that it's so important to, they say to protect yourself sexually, you don't want to go bang anybody and not have a condom on. I think that applies spiritually too, when you open yourself up or your energies up to new people, is to, even, I don't know if anybody ever played like video games like World of Warcraft or something, but, like a paladin would have like this big gold bubble around them. Like, I do that a lot, like in situations where there's a lot of people, or if I just get kind of like that uneasy feeling, I just imagine like this big golden bubble around me, and I'll say to myself, I'm protected. And it feels good, and I think it helps, because I think a lot of ailments people are experiencing nowadays, like depression, anxiety, bipolar, maybe even schizophrenia, you could classify in there, are negative entities that have attached onto them and are feeding off of their aura. And I know it sounds kind of weird and out there, but there's a lot of people who are writing books about it, who are talking about it, and I do think that it is it's an issue worth talking about, especially on a forum like Paradigm Shift Radio, because you guys touch on so many different topics that it would definitely be relevant and something worth looking into for your listeners who are exploring their spirituality.
Yeah, again, it's sort of being open to those possibilities. So sort of just to reiterate like what you're sort of saying here, this idea that, we've kind of talked about the fact that there's other entities involved in the same space that we're in, and there is this idea, and I've read this and I've heard this elsewhere, that these entities can almost like vampirically latch on to our auras and sort of like feed off us and get within our like fields, and then this can actually detrimentally hurt us. Like this can actually like lead to like physical like ailments, and I think
absolutely.
So I mean, being able to recognize that that's a possibility in the first place, I think, is step one, and then just being mindful of like your own space, and again using visualizations and using your imagination to create these bubbles of white light. As silly as that sounds, but I mean there is a reality to that. Focus goes, like energy goes where energy flows where your attention goes. So if you're focusing on protection and creating like this white light around you, it's going to help give your intention something to grasp onto, something to focus towards. And then as you do that, like it becomes more of like an actual reality. It's only when you don't that you sort of like keep the doors open, so to speak. And then at that point, what's coming in? I mean, who knows, right? I guess it sort of depends on like where you are and different people that you're around or what have you. So anything to add onto that you'd like to add?
Well, and we always have like people you meet, like you encounter. I call them psychic vampires. If you've ever had a friend or somebody you talk to and you walk away from them just feeling so mentally, physically exhausted. Sometimes people suck your energy and they don't even realize they're doing it. I, for a long time, was a nurse at a nursing home, and as being very empathic, going into work every day was just emotionally draining. It was so difficult being around people who were so sick, who were dying, medical staff who were just dicks. The medical field is everybody is a doctor. They know everything. They can be real jerks if you let them. And so not even if you're not a spiritual person, but just the idea of meditating and protecting yourself can help you at work or, with your family, or the weird, creepy neighbor, I don't know.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But it was I'm a little bit flustered because I've never been on the radio before, but it was, what had got me on that was what those had said on the last episode, that we do live in that there's universes that are all positive, there's universes that are all negative, and where we live there is negative and positive. And I know that the overall mission of like Spirit Science, the Atlantis King, Paradigm Shift Radio, is to focus on the positive. And ultimately I think that is the best thing to do, because then you don't give them negative energy to feed off of. I think that is the ultimate love. Love is the ultimate answer to the battle that we need to win. And by not giving them something to feed off of, saying, no, not me, no, that just gives them less and less energy, less and less sources. And when I say they, I'm using that very, loosely, whether you want to say aliens, reptilians, demons, whatever you want to call it, entities that do not have our best interest in mind, have only their interest in mind, and are not focused on the greater good or love. We don't want them here. We want to we want a new earth, right? We want a golden age. And I think that we can have that, but like what Bose was saying, and I think it's good that you guys were getting deeper, not just scratching the surface on topics. I think that getting deeper is what we need to do, but that, the time is now, and it's happening. So, our water's poisoned, our food is poisoned, our minds are poisoned. It's really time to wake up and look around and say, hey, this isn't the world that I want my children to inherit, and that it can be better. We manifest our own reality, and we can make it a better place. And forums like this is where it starts. So
for
I
sure.
just want to say, you guys, what a great job I think you're doing, and how awesome it is. And I
Thanks
enjoy listening.
Yeah, cool. All right, now what I would actually like to do, I'd actually like to bring on another friend of ours, Brianna, onto the show, just to give you guys a chance maybe to exchange some ideas back and forth, because I know for those of you who've been listening, the ratio between male and female is not entirely even all the time, so I think it's great to have more females on the show. So what we're going to do here is actually technically a first in terms of Paradigm Shift Radio, in terms of two females being on the air at once. So Brianna, if you're ready, I'm going to bring you on the show and then just sort of share your thoughts either on this topic, or we'll go somewhere else from there. So Brianna, if you're ready, I'm going to bring you onto the show.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Namaste.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay. Good.
Very good. And Brianna, where are you calling from?
I'm in Livonia, Michigan right now. So I'm in the Mitten State. Woohoo! Woo-hoo.
All right, and what would you like to bring onto the show? Either maybe something that you thought based on what Mira said. Is it Mira? Is that
Myra?
Mm-hmm. Oh, hi Myra.
Hi.
I did have something to mention about the little bubble that you said, putting up a shield around your body. It's kind of like a psychic shield to ward off against, bad thoughts too. So negative entities and stuff can latch onto you. And you can also think of it instead of, because it's easier for our minds to grasp a concept as a negative entity or like a demon. But essentially you're keeping your mind from thinking like negative thought patterns. And so that kind of helps. And through visualization, that is a reinforcer. So I'm coming at it from a psychological standpoint in this respect, just to help people. It's kind of like, it's like fulfilling your own prophecy or something like that.
Like that's kind of what I was trying to explain too. Like this idea that imagining that you have a bubble, even if it is just imaginary, is better than not imagining one, so to speak. Because it gives you something for your consciousness, your attention to sort of draw back onto, and when it's there, it helps strengthen the thought of it. So I think that's something that anybody can really work with. Like I remember giving that tip a long time ago by a guy who does hands-on healing and stuff, and the way he explained it, and again, people, there's lots of different varieties in what might work for you. But the way he explained it, he said, like, imagine that you had like a white piece of chalk that was like it was glowing white light, and then you like draw around you. You sort of like use this white light to sort of like draw like an outline around your body. And an example he gave, he said, even if you're driving on the highway and it's like a snowstorm or something, and you're feeling a little uncertain, just like use your imagination and imagine drawing with this white chalk, imagine drawing like an outline around your car. And then like keeping your car safe. So I mean, there's lots of different ways that you can do it, and I think that's kind of what Paradigm Shift Radio is about, is us sort of like talking about different sort of tactics that we can use, different sort of like psychic tactics.
Right.
I guess. So that's pretty cool.
You can also use it for people too. So say you have somebody who really is getting under your skin, and you like thinking those negative thoughts about that person, that maybe they said something to you and it kind of set you off. You can like imagine an energetic thread stretching from you to them, and like not really cutting that thread, but sort of pulling that thread out of your body and releasing it, or putting up that shield so that anything that comes from them to you, you can just like deflect it or transmute it. I always try and tell people to transmute negative energy and turn it into good energy instead of resisting it or pushing it away. But you can use that technique with people too in your day-to-day life, and like when you wake up in the morning and before you go to bed, you should call attention to all the interactions you had throughout the day, and maybe do some clearing of your field and just clear any like negative things away from you, any gray threads or just any sort of things like that. Negative people in your life, just have them kind of go away, and then when they come back, you'll address them without that like past grievance that you had.
That's good. Anybody else have anything to add on?
I always say, and especially, and I'll do it half as a joke, but it works. Especially, if I'm arguing with my significant other or a family member or whatnot, I'll just throw up my hands and be like, your negativity does not affect me. And they'll roll their eyes, but it really, just intentionally stating something makes it true, using those words, or even if you don't want to be a weirdo and say it out loud and throw up an imaginary field in front of everybody, you can say it in your head, and it's just as effective. It's that out there in the energy field, and it really does help, and I agree with everything that Brianna said. So
yeah, it does help a lot. It's like psychologically speaking, it puts you in a good mindset, and it's like during meditation, but you're doing it actively throughout the day. You're looking at something and not letting it affect you.
And I think it's sort of fun to get as dramatic as you want about it, like even kind of what you were saying, like imagine if you're like playing like Skyrim or World of Warcraft, and like, come on guys, like, I have to take this, like shields up, like cast my spell, right? And people will just be like, whoa, that guy's serious, and maybe and be like, oh, he's so serious, he's probably not joking. So, and then actually people are going to be going around casting spells. So that's the future that we'll be living in someday. That's the future worth fighting for.
Absolutely.
We're all superheroes.
All superheroes, cool. All right, now, girls, how would you feel if I were to bring Elijah onto the show? Do you guys have something that you might want to ask him about?
Yeah. I mean, I can't. Give me like 5 seconds to think about it, but that'd be really super sweet.
Is that okay with you?
I am in awe of Thoth. Just as a member of the pagan community, I've worked with Egyptian deities off and on for years. So just the implication that there is a fourth-born Thoth, to me is awesome and amazing. And I just through the last episode this past week, I've been looking at the iprojectelijah.com website. It's a plethora of wisdom, and it's very heavy. Like, you can't just, read what he says. You have to read it over and over and over again, and I still don't get all of it. Sacred geometry, I'm very new to, and I'm very terrible at math. So there's, some images and stuff of his that I've been looking at in his art, and I'm like, I'm going to figure this shit out one day. I know I am. And I just keep looking at it. So I have no objection to that whatsoever. I probably have nothing to ask. I don't even know what do you ask a fourth-born Thoth. I don't know, but...
Well, I'm kind of curious, because, what is your take on Elijah? Because it's either something, or he's just some guy be something. What vibe do you...
I do not think that he is some guy. He is absolutely a very mindful individual. And I would love for everything for him that he says to be absolutely true. I need to observe more and watch more and listen more. But I just recently did a dedication ritual around the blue moon, and I did personally an invocation to Thoth, and then two of my other partners, we had Osiris there, so it's quite awesome.
Well, all right. Well,
I don't know what I think yet, but I know he's awesome and that he's something special and something that the world needs right now.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I mean, there's it's interesting because, you know, like, there's a lot of other people out there who think they're Thoth or claim to be Thoth in some way or another, but, you know, like, is there more legitimacy from one to the other? And I think regardless of whether or not you actually believe him, because, again, like I said a while back, like, you know, believe nothing, see everything. So whether or not you actually believe that this guy is like an incarnated version of Hermes and, you know, Thoth, and this, if you haven't yet, like, look up, go to Google and just type in like Elijah or Thoth and just start sort of getting some information on the subject matter. But regardless of whether or not he is who he says he is, he still carries a weight of information, and his perspective is as equally as important as anybody else's, is a message that I think I should reiterate. So, I mean, even though he's very well spoken, guys, his message is that, like, we all have what he has within us. And so, I mean, look up to him as a role model, look up to him as a teacher, but you yourself are that teacher as well. You yourself, like, are that student. So it's this full circle thing going on here. So just a healthy reminder. And with that said, I'll bring Elijah onto the show. So, Elijah, or if you're ready, I'm going to bring you on right about now.
Greetings.
Hello. Greetings, dude.
Hello.
Namaste, friend.
Hello, dear lady. How are you? It's been such a pleasure to listen to your voice for the past couple of minutes. You guys have put a big grin on my face the entire time.
Oh, it's so lovely. It's so nice to hear your voice. I mean, I guess I've heard it on the last couple shows, but it's different now.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Myra. I loved hearing what you had to say. I would love to exchange information with you, just to have some more dialogue. I thought everything that you had to say was so poignant, right on, and right on the money. And I'm really excited to hear that there's some people with that kind of a voice out there too. So thank you very much.
Cool. All right, now either Brianna or Myra, you guys ask a question to our.
I will let Brianna go first.
I'm face palming right now.
It could be a big question. It could be a small question.
It's about experience. I don't know what kind of experience, but perfect person to ask this question to. Okay, so recently I've been feeling a lot of energy coming in, and I feel like there's an energy build. And like the other day I woke up and there was like a buzzing in my head, and I've been able to hear a lot more tones lately throughout the day, as well as like seeing little balls of light go across my vision, and that's been increasing lately. And I felt like that the full moon would be a culmination of this energy, and that something is coming. I get the feeling that something's coming, or it's like going to occur, but like there's a build up. And I don't know if that's because of like the date, the 21st is coming, or if there's like something else. I was just wondering. Or maybe I'm going crazy. There's another thing. Woohoo!
You're certainly not going crazy. I'll tell you, even myself, I've been having a similar sensation. Actually, Thanksgiving, I stepped outside of my neighbor's home, and I looked up in the sky, and there was a ball of light, probably the size of maybe a quarter, in the sky. It looked like the sun, and it shot straight back. It didn't like go left or to the right. It just got smaller until it looked like like Venus, and then it looked like a star, and then it just disappeared. And it happened, I had my eyes on it for about 15-20 seconds, so I didn't it wasn't a flash. And and when that happened, I had this rush of energy, like it was there the whole time, and it would have stayed there until I realized it.
Mhm.
So that it only left when I realized it, and it kind of left me with this feeling that, there's something that even I'm not privy to. There's something going on in the energies, in the energy field. My mother has been calling me showing me videos of orbs, and she has recorded some crazy electronic voice phenomenon.
No way.
My own mom, my brothers sing them in his bedroom. They're all over my house too. Brandon, you got it on your videos. It's just, like Ixen said earlier on the show, we're just coming down to the veil getting thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner, and I think we're all experiencing that in our own individual ways.
So kind of what we were talking about earlier, if you heard the conversation when Patrick was on, like he was sort of talking about this event, like this shift where there may come a point where now maybe the veil's so thin, and there's going to be a point where it's just going to be, open, so to speak. Do you have any sort of insight or information on an event like this occurring at some point or another?
Well, there is that event which Christianity refers to as the rapture. Other theologians call it a great catching away, where in the twinkling of an eye, our bodies are going to be transported from this dimensional existence to another one. This is what I consider the process, where with say the dog.
It's good.
So there's this ascension process. Well, what's going to happen? We're gonna disappear. So that would appear like a disintegration. But as far as the heavens and the earth passing away, and the mountains and the trees, like I heard earlier, that's not for a while. That's certainly not going to happen in December 21st. This Earth's going to be here for longer than that. But there is going to be a great portion of this Earth that will have that experience. So it's like, for instance, if the people in Chicago, God forbid it, but if there's a nuclear missile that goes off in Chicago, for them that existence is a death by fire and disintegration. So it's going to be different all over the world. Some people aren't going to experience what other people will, but for their existence, that will be reality, and there will be a lot of destruction, unfortunately. There will be a lot of nuclear fallout, potentially. And, in those instances, Patrick would be right to say that trees would be disintegrated and that our skin would fly off our flesh in the matter of, that sounds like radiation as well. If you got the fallout from radiation fallout, you wake up in the morning 6 hours later, your skin's falling off. So we got to, just apply it correctly.
I think I'm saying that, and let's correct me if I'm wrong, I think he was saying that, like, the trees and the mountains, like, wouldn't disintegrate, like, wouldn't vibrationally shift, and that's what I was referring to, that it's, like, more the other objects, like the earth, the stuff of the earth would, like, stay on the earth, but, like, the other stuff, such as, like, our bodies, would be the things that would be, like, shifting in vibration.
Well, we certainly are of the earth as well. But we are from this earth. We are made of the elements of this earth. So I believe we are just as connected to this earth as trees are. Mm-hmm. The only thing different would be that we have a soul. So our soul may very well experience this shifting, but our bodies are just as connected to this earth as a mountain or a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Not unless the whole issue about what you put in your body kind of changes your body a little bit in terms of the types of foods that you ingest, and that kind of would change your DNA just a tiny bit, not a lot, just a little bit.
Right. It's like, for instance, our experience. It's a fine line, because now we're talking about separating ourselves from our experience. So, would our experiences shift? Of course. If our pineal gland, if we do have what you were saying, if we haven't ingested all those things that alter our construct, if we are in alignment, then yes, we are going to experience that physical altercation. But at the same time, it wouldn't really be us. We would be switching from a physical carnal body. It wouldn't be this carnal body that literally upgrades, like we transform into something cooler. Our experience is going to leave this dimensional experience and move into a higher dimensional experience and inhabit, I believe, a completely new body.
Okay.
it'd be like moving, it'd be like switching homes. It'd be like, it's the same you, but you're no longer living in a thatched hut, a brick home made with mud. You're moving into a beautiful crystal palace. You're still the same experiencer, but it's not your palace, your hut didn't turn into the palace.
All right, two questions on that, though. What about people who are going to stay behind and, like, help other people? And is there a possibility that you can also go between the two dimensions, like be here, but then also go over there and, like, shift?
Oh, wow, really, really good question. Well, the people that are going to be left behind,
or who
for them,
choose to stay behind.
Yeah, choose to stay behind. Can you to stay behind?
Can you choose to stay behind? Right. You absolutely can choose to stay behind. And, so you can choose to stay behind, and then there are those who are going to be, quote-unquote, left behind or, will not partaken in this shift.
I wouldn't even know.
You can choose to come back as well. You can choose to be in service to humanity for a very, 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 very long time. And since time is linear, today exists forever. So if you made the shift and you wanted to come back, imagine being able to have the ability to come back and relive your life and have to go through the risk, I guess, of having to try to do it all over and risk forgetting who you were and risk forgetting it, just for the chance to help other people. There are those who have done that. But the difference between this time and all of the times before us is this is a great change, and there's not going to be the ability after this shift to come back. Those who are left are going to be left in this dimension. And there's going to be no moving up. It's like imagining a holographic fractal, like the Mandelbrot set, and you have like a black sphere on the set, and as you move up, that sphere gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and eventually it's going to disappear. Well, that's what's going to happen to this dimension. And the people who are stuck in this dimension they're going to be stuck. And what happens to that dimension is not going to be a very, very good thing. It's going to be recycled along with all the energies in it, but that's the nature of our universe.
Now, Elijah, would you go by the term prophet? Does that fit what you do?
I certainly have no qualms with that. Absolutely. It certainly does fit what I do. It fits who I am, and it fits how I believe people throughout the world are expecting me.
So can you prophesize a few things for us before we end the show off here?
4 minutes left. Oh, no.
Unfortunately, I could speak, but I wouldn't call it prophesying. When I'm prophesying, it's the Spirit of the Lord speaking through me, and I don't get to choose when that happens. I'm in very try not to be the thunderer mode.
Yeah.
Last time on your last episode when I was speaking, there was some prophesying in there. To prophesy, is to when you have a mediator between a voice between God and man, and a lot of people that sounds weird to them, and it's certainly not. It's not channeling, So it's not like it would be a channel, but I would like to offer some words, that would be considered, I guess, prophecy, seeing that I'm a prophet. That would be to prophesy a spirit of searching. And I'm foreseeing such a massive change happen in the hearts of this movement. A change that's going to create such unity, not breaking down barriers to bring us together for the reasons of togetherness, but building up each other's walls to strengthen one another. And you don't have to believe what I believe. And I don't have to believe what you believe. But my God, if you're not against me, then you're for me. And I believe in Jesus. And I'm not demanding that anybody else believe in Jesus. Jesus is my personal choice. I have to talk about him just like I have to talk about that great meal that I had the other day. It's something that I'm excited about. But anything that you believe in, all I'm asking you to do is to find it in yourself, to represent it to the best that you can. And what I see happening on these forums that you're presenting here is you're presenting people from every different walk coming together. And we're coming together because we know we have something in common, and it's not about what we have not in common. It's about what we share. And whether you believe in Krishna or Shiva or Buddha or Muhammad or Jesus, we believe. So I'm prophesying a movement of believers getting together and agreeing upon the very fact that we believe. And we believe that time is short. And we believe that we are the generation of change. We are the chosen ones, you guys. And it's a very, very, very exciting time to be alive.
We are the ones we have.
It's very important that we amplify that too. I mean, if it's not us, then who else is going to do it? And if it's not now, then when, essentially. And we do need to empower a lot more people.
That's right. So, all right, guys. Now, right now, the show actually did get cut off on Blog Talk, so some of the people gotten to hear the final message of the show. But what we're going to be able to do, and for future shows, if anybody's interested, feel free to do some sort of Google Hangout. I think Von Halford may be posting a link for that. And again, thank you for everyone who's taken part in the show. Thank you, Elijah. Thank you, Myra. Thank you, Brianna. And this is Skull Babylon, and I assure you, I intend to stick around. So that means I'll be sticking around, and I'll be able to keep being able to broadcast the shift from home base here in the third dimension. So thanks again, guys. And again, go to ParadigmShiftCentral.com and Facebook.com/ParadigmShiftRadio. Share this link with your friends. Enjoy the show. Time to yourself, love those around you, and we will see you in the future.
Bye. Namaste.
Namaste.